He cooperated. I told him to get up on the bench, kneel up on the bench so we could put the leg irons on. He backed down. I put the strap, and Travis put the cuffs on him. Typically, when we shackle them, they're in the booking room and they're kneeling up on the bench, and it's readily available. I mean, he was laying on the ground. It was kind of an awkward situation, and
he was in cell 15 at that time.
Correct.
What was he in there for?
Because of his previous trip to the hospital.
had one of the blue suits on.
He had the leg shackles on and transport belt, and there was 2 pairs of cuffs. And I really don't remember how he was cuffed, but I know that there was a pair of our orange jail cuffs that was with the transport belt, and there was a pair of chrome cuffs.
Is it common for some inmates to have sheets though?
Oh yeah.
And if he wasn't on, do you guys term it suicide watch?
Yes.
Okay.
58 watch.
Goldson was not on suicide watch.
Not that we were aware of.
And if he had been, then it would have been more precautions taken to ensure that there was not a sheet or so forth in there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
All he had on was the paper shirt, I don't know what, the suicide shirt, and the paper pants.
As far as your responsibilities go, he was in, would you call it isolation? What do you call it, cell 15?
Typically, when they're in there for that reason, it would be medical observation.
Okay, not necessarily a suicide watch.
Not necessarily.
Zane, what's that box doing there?
That's his personal belongings.
Goldson's?
Yeah. Any kind of paperwork, indigent.
Why is just his out there? Why isn't somebody's in 14 in there?
The person in 14 was on suicide watch, and he had no personal items. They would have been taken whenever he got put on suicide watch. The guy in 14, he is on suicide watch.
Things that, especially with the stories, I mean, there was a sheet in his room when he was on suicide watch. I mean, that's not right there. I mean, there should have never been a sheet in there in the first place.
Now, what are you basing that your belief that he was on suicide watch on?
I mean, he was in a blue suit. I mean, he was in a blue suit and swallowed a pin and, whatever the day before. I mean, if you're sitting there swallowing pins and you get moved to holding cell 15 and put in a blue suit, that's suicide watch.
It's
I mean,
not.
All his stuff got taken from him.
Yeah.
He I don't know. I think he still had a mat in there. I don't know, but I think he had a turtle blanket in there, which is what you get when you're on suicide watch. They pulled his tote from him. He wasn't allowed having no pens, no paper, nothing in the tote.
Okay.
I mean, that's all signs of suicide watch there.
Yeah. Is it possible that, I mean, are you aware of a term called medical watch? Is it possible that he was on medical watch and not suicide watch?
I mean, I've heard him talk about medical watch up there, but I mean, I ain't never really seen nobody on medical watch in a blue suit, locked down with, can't have nothing out of their tote, can't have their tote at all, or anything that would hurt them. I mean, that's suicide watch there to me.
Yep. Okay.
To your knowledge, was anything set up in that cell other than what normally would be?
It was left the way when they took him to the hospital. It was the door was open. He was pulled out. It was not touched, to the best of my knowledge.
And not everybody on medical watch would have their stuff out in the hallway like that, but because of the reason that he was on medical watch, swallowing items, they probably tried to take anything that he could swallow away.
Do you recall what's in his box of personal belongings? Not that I'd expect you to. Just
No, I know that he had some papers in there. Other than that, I really didn't pay too much attention. I would guess he had a styrofoam cup with soap and shampoo, maybe some commissary.
As you're going into the cell, what do you see about the cell? Is there anything out of the ordinary in the cell at that time? All right. You don't see a sheet hanging there from the shower head or anything?
No.
Right. Where's the sheet at in the room at this point? Was your exiting the room?
I did not see a sheet.
Okay. What kind of restraints are on him, on Goldson?
I don't remember. I want to say handcuffs and shackles.
Okay. Now, when you say shackles, what does that refer to?
Ankle.
Okay. But you're not sure right now. You said before he was in shackles, and I was just trying to see it. And
I took the stuff off of him, but I honestly don't remember. I want to say it was shackles and handcuffs. He left with the restraint belt that has the handcuffs that keep him handcuffed in front of him.
Yeah.
But apparently that's what he managed to get off before he assaulted the
yeah, so you say he left the jail to go to the hospital earlier that morning.
That's how everybody leaves for hospitals and other places, is with the belt.
Right. But so you would have expected him to come back in shackles, but with the commotion, it was hard to say.
They took him into the cell, placed him on the bed. The shackles, handcuffs, and transport belt were removed.
Mhm.
At that point, I instructed him that if he tried to get up before we left the cell, that I would tase him.
You and Dunning are uncuffing Goldson. What are you saying to him while you're uncuffing him?
I informed him that if he were to get up off the floor before we left the cell, that he would be tased.
Okay. You and Dunning are in the cell doing what?
At that point, I was probably uncuffing him.
Okay. And who's outside the cell?
That's Corporal Huff, I believe.
Okay. And who else?
Should be Deputy Wedmore.
Okay.
He was on the floor at this point. I went to take his shackles off, and Zane was taking his handcuffs off.
So you've got it. Once you get him in the cell, he's shackled, correct? You guys have to do what once you get him in there?
Well, he's kind of laying to the side, and he's got the belt.
Yep.
So Zane's working on the cuffs. I'm trying to get his legs.
Yep.
And then I'm done first. So I'm thinking to myself, I didn't want his legs in the way, so I kind of stood over his leg so he couldn't reach up and kick him.
Mhm.
Just trying to think ahead.
Mhm.
And then he got the cuffs. We took the belt off, and we come out of the room.
We had him down on his stomach on the floor, and I'm trying to think. I know Deputy Dunning and CO Shadle were in there. I don't remember which one took the cuffs off, but they took the restraints off, and that was the end of it. We backed out.
You get handcuffs off of him, shackles off of him. He's obviously coherent, moving around, and
He was on the floor when we backed out.
Did you ever see him standing up or
No.
moving around?
No.
He was conscious.
Yes.
moving. Okay.
Came out of there, and we got him in the cell. We got the cuffs on him.
He's still
Or off
climbing
of him,
into-
I'm sorry.
he-
I didn't. I grabbed the shoes. Zane didn't. We didn't see a sheet.
Okay.
And then we also grabbed the leg irons and the belt.
But you went into the cell with him to,
We kind of shoved him in, so,
gotcha,
and then the COs went in because we got backed up out of the way because I still had my firearm.
okay.
And we pushed him, COs went in there, and I backed out.
Alright.
And then they took the restraints off of him and they shut the door.
You close the door. He's where at? What's Goldson doing inside?
We left him in the floor.
When these shoes hit the floor, is it your recollection now that he's barefooted in his cell now?
And all we seen was him being brought in and placed into 15, and then they came out with the cuffs and the belt. They had went in there and removed the cuffs from his hands and the transport belt.
Okay.
All I did see was them take him in and come out with the shackles.
There's you with the blanket.
He's got the belt. It's a belt.
Okay.
It's a transport belt. They must have spun it around.
Transport belt would go where on this person?
Normally it goes around just like a regular belt.
Yep.
You spin the loop to the back,
Okay,
and then the ring is on the front that the handcuffs get through.
good enough. So he had more than handcuffs, is what you're saying.
Right.
You don't refer to that as a shackle, though?
No.
Okay, so where you said you thought he might have been shackled before,
Right.
that would have been his ankles. Now we're kind of, on the video, it looks like, would you verify 100% he wasn't shackled from the video, or is it seems more likely not?
It kind of looked like he wasn't, but
Yeah.
again,
Yeah, I couldn't do 100% on that either. Okay, but we got the transport belt there.
no, that's handcuffs. That's not shackles.
Yeah, you got the handcuffs.
No, I don't see any shackles.
Okay. You didn't take anything out?
I walked out and we closed the door.
I was up here, I was up front when he was brought in
Okay.
through the sally port.
Mhm.
He was brought in, Corporal Huff, Dunning, Shadle, and Deputy Wedmore had brought him in.
Okay.
They placed him in holding cell 15, undone the shackles and took property box and blanket out of his room. Then we went outside for a smoke break, came back in, got the shackles for, I believe Deputy or Corporal Meyer called in for the shackles to be bagged
Mhm.
as evidence for the altercation. I went back there to get those. I walked back to the property or the commissary room to get a paper bag to put the shackles and belt in. And then 30 seconds later, we walked back to the holding cell that he was in. And CO Shadle had seen that he was hanging. We opened the door and then things went from there. They put the male in the 15, and when he came out for a smoke break, we went outside and smoked,
Right.
came back. We were asked to grab the shackles
Yep.
that we had already picked up and put in the booking room and put them in a paper bag for evidence
Yep.
for the altercation.
Okay.
We then I had went to the commissary room, which is right across from the holding cell, and got a paper bag
Mhm.
and came back.
After the holding cell door was closed, I went in between 16 and 17. We have a thing of sanitary wipes and wiped down the handcuffs that we took off of him. Deputy Dunning wiped down the transport belt and the shackles. On my way back through, he was sitting on his bunk. And then
How much time had passed at that point?
maybe a minute, 2 minutes
Okay.
tops.
You do a visual observation of him in his body.
Correct.
And he's sitting on it.
At that point, we put the handcuffs, the belt, and the shackles in a brown paper bag. And then, I think we came out. No, we came up front. I went outside and smoked. And then Corporal Meyer gave me the call and told me to put that stuff in the bag for evidence. I guess they were going to charge him with attempted escape and assault on a police officer. So we went back and put him in the, got him, we had put him away, went back, got him, put him in the bag. And then we stood in the booking room and talked for a minute or two. And we went down to the commissary room, which is right across the hall, to get a drink. And I decided to look in just to see what he was doing. He was hanging.
Last time I seen him, he was on the ground. Hands spread out, feet spread out, where they took the shackles and the handcuffs off of him. And he was talking to him then.
What was he wearing at that point?
He's wearing a blue like a pullover suit.
Corporal Meyer, through the radio or on the phone, I'm not sure which, they just said, hey, make sure you save those items. And I'm like, oh crap, I wiped it off. I didn't even think about that.
After everybody came up, it was around 2:30 when they brought the inmate in. It was 2:37 when Deputy Huff and Deputy Wedmore left. Sarah, Bill Dunning, and C.O. Shadle went right out front for a smoke break. They were maybe out there between 5 to 10 minutes, not that long at all. And Corporal Meyer had called in and he said he needed to talk to Zane. So I intercomed out there and I said, you know, Corporal Meyer's on line 1 for you, Zane. And when he got off the phone, he's like, hey, we got to go get those cuffs. And I don't know if he had the cuffs on still in the cell. I don't know anything about that. But they went back to his cell when they went to go get cuffs. And that's when they found him that way. Went back to the commissary room to grab a paper bag for the shackles.
Where you going in right there?
To the booking room.
Okay.
He was grabbing the shackles that he had already wiped down and placed.
Okay. For what purpose are you grabbing those?
Larry Meyer, Corporal Meyer, called in and had us go back and get them. He didn't know we had wiped them out already.
Okay.
I was back in the jail with Shadle and Dunning, and we went back to get the shackles that he was brought back in with.
We were in the booking room talking, and we went to the commissary room.
Okay, so this wasn't like an official, I got to do a check at this time, you just walking by and looked at it. Okay.
At one point, Sarah McKenzie goes down to the commissary, you guys call it? She doesn't look in the cell, and then just almost moments after that, you and Dunning head down that way. What were you and Dunning going down the?
We were going to the same place she was, but I looked in and saw him hanging.
Why are you guys going to the commissary?
That's right.
Just common. Do that every once in a while in the night. Okay.
Yeah, whatever we bring in, we can put in the fridge in there, keep it cold.
We were going to the commissary room to get a drink.
We know that 20 minutes from now, Zane's going to find him hanging in his cell. I believe you go down there as well with him.
Yeah, we're going in the door directly across our commissary. We have refrigerators in there. That's where we keep drinks, lunch, whatever.
Okay.
We went out front, as I told you before, just everybody's, excited a little bit. So we come out to calm down, and Zane smoked a cigarette. I went outside just to calm down. We went back. We were told that the cuffs and stuff that were taken off him needed to be used for evidence.
Mhm.
Because I had taken them in and I wiped them off. I didn't even think about it. I wiped them off with a sanitizing wipe
Yeah, you
and
said
hung
that.
them up. I didn't even think about it. And so we went back, we bagged them up, and I just made the comment, hey, you want to get a drink? So we did.
Now, why are you walking by the door and Dunning's opening it to the commissary?
He had his keys out. I didn't.
Well, like I said, we were going to the commissary to get a drink, and I turned around and was locking the door, and he kind of stood to the side while I was doing it. He just happened to glance in, and he saw it. So, and then I turned around immediately and saw it. I went, put the key in the door, and Zane's standing next to him, and he looks through the window door, and he's like, oh shit.
Okay, there you go. Looks like you just got your first look. What do you see?
The inmate hanging.
Approximately what time do you think you observed him hanging in a cell?
Maybe between 2:50 and 2:55.
So approximately 10 or 15 minutes after you first closed the cell door.
I decided to look in just to see what he was doing. He was hanging.
What did you do at that point?
I opened the door, ran in, lifted up on him. Deputy Dunning climbed up on the bunk and cut him down. Once he was on the ground, I got handcuffs from Deputy Dunning and cuffed him for our safety. Rolled him over.
You look in, what do you see?
I see him hanging there. I had a pocket knife. I grabbed it, cut him down.
You guys get the door open.
Yeah, Zane grabs him, and I reach in my pocket and get a knife, and I cut the sheet. He's on the ground.
Who's that?
That's me.
And you're going to get.
I was going to get handcuffs, and I realized, oh shit, I got mine right here.
Yeah.
So I turned around, went back, and handed him the handcuffs because we got him down. Because Zane said we better handcuff him because we didn't know what state he was in.
And he's already on the ground.
Yes, sir.
He's on the ground. And so Zane says we better handcuff him. You forget momentarily that you got handcuffs. You run to get some. 6 feet down the hall, you remember you got some. You turn back, use your cuffs.
You can see I reach back there, and
Sure do.
I wear it right here.
Okay. Right there, you go in, you cuff him. Can you see in the cell at that point?
I can, yeah.
What did you see?
I've seen him hanging and Dunning went under his rear. No, Zane went under his rear
Mhm.
and lifted him up, and
Okay.
Dunning grabbed his knife and was
Okay.
attempting to cut him down. Well, I was back with Shadle and Dunning when we walked up to the door to check on him.
Okay.
And then Shadle had seen him open the door, went in and I guess relieved the pressure, picked him up a little bit to relieve the pressure from his neck, and Dunning had cut the sheet down.
Okay, so you didn't have to do anything to assist with the cutting down or the holding?
No, they had that under control. I went in to see if I could help, but
Right.
there was not really enough room in the cell for me to get a hold of anything to help with, so.
We got him on the ground. He said, get me a pair of cuffs. I started out the door and I thought, I keep some right here. So I grabbed my cuffs and handed them to him.
You grabbed the inmate,
Mhm.
lifted up on him.
Right.
Who cut him down?
Dunning.
Okay. At that point, you instructed Dunning to get some handcuffs?
No, he had a set on him. I asked him for his handcuffs.
And just clarify one more time, where is the inmate when you cuff him?
On the floor.
100% he was on the floor.
Correct.
And just to clarify, you just said it, but just to clarify, he was cuffed exactly when? Where
Right after we cut him down.
was he already cuffed when you got in there?
Yes.
He was cuffed for safety.
Yeah, from what they told me, as soon as they cut him down, they cuffed him, fearing that maybe if he come to, he'd try fighting to get out again, which.
But anyway, Shadle had come out, and they said a few words, don't know what, and then he come to the back door, and that's when I asked him the question. I said, at what point in time, I said, did the handcuffs, when was they put on? He said, before he was cut down. Why is that? And he said, because of safety, for our safety.
And this was Shadle you were talking to?
Yes.
Again, Zane Shadle?
Yes,
And you recall him saying that the handcuffs were put on before he was cut down?
yes.
I know. I remember Shadle telling us that when he cut him down from the sheet, they handcuffed. Before they cut him down from the sheet, they handcuffed his hands behind his back. That the COs did just for their protection, because they didn't know if he was going to try to do it, if he was actually hanging himself, or if he was dead, or if he was just trying to do something. So they said they handcuffed him before they cut him down, I guess, or something, and then they cut him down.
He was down on the ground?
Yes.
Okay, on his belly?
Maybe kind of on his side, sort
Okay.
of,
All right.
because his hands were to his back.
Is there any doubt in your mind that this inmate Goldson hung himself, and that somebody else isn't responsible for his death.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, we were together the whole time. There was no one else back here that could have been around. I mean, yeah, I have no doubt. I was just as shocked.
Yeah, I'm still standing in there, and I'm looking at the situation, and I look up at what he hooked that towel to, and I thought, man, that's high up there. And then you're just like, okay, what would you stand on? And I'm trying to gauge how long he is, how tall he would be. And it's like, okay, the only thing in here for him to stand on that would be remotely close to that would be like the commode. And it's like, I just had a hard time visualizing him trying to reach up there and put that up there. I mean, like I said, I was trying to gauge how long he was too,
Yeah.
but And another thing that I had noticed about him when I was looking at him was that he was handcuffed. And I didn't say anything at the time because I was still looking at this, that, and the other, and they're doing whatever they need to do and calling, trying to get the coroner or whatever. But I'd never met Buddy before. But he had opened the doors talking this, that, and the other. And I had mentioned to him, I said, I got a question, and I said, I'd like to see, Shade or somebody in there. And he said, well, was there anything I can help you with? I said, no, I don't think you can answer it. And I said, but it pertains to him being handcuffed. At what point did he get handcuffed? Because I'm thinking at the time, if you're handcuffed, you're not going to do anything.
Right.
I'm not an investigator, but I'm not a blonde either.
Yeah.
So,
What do you think happened in the cell?
Mhm.
What do you think occurred?
I think he hung himself. I think he realized what he was facing after the incident.
And seeing what you saw going in, and do you think it's physically possible for an inmate to have draped a sheet up around there as he did on himself?
I don't know how the hell he could have done it, but I guess it's possible. Yeah.
Did you have time to hang him while you were doing that?
No.
Did you hang him?
No.
Did anybody else hang him?
No, not that I'm aware of.
You shut the door. There's nothing in there that,
Not that I saw.
okay.
The only thing that should have been in there that I saw was a mat.
From the time you're taking him in there to the time you shut the door, nobody's hanging him without you seeing it.
Correct.
So nobody hung him.
Right.
Is there anything that we haven't asked you that would provide us with information needed to come to the truthful conclusion of this investigation?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did you guys hang him?
No, sir.
Did you make it did you set anything up so that he could easily take his own life?
No.